Today, we're diving into a biological mystery that honestly just doesn't seem to make any sense. We're talking about one of Africa's most iconic animals and how it seems to be completely immune to one of our most notorious diseases. So, let's jump right into this. We've got a real paradox on our hands. I mean, on the face of it, this situation makes zero sense. It's a genuine head-scratcher from the natural world. And that brings us to the big question. Why on earth don't hippos get cholera? When you think about where they live and how cholera gets around, they should be the absolute perfect target for it. I mean, just think about how they live for a second. Hippos spend pretty much their entire lives hanging out in water, the exact kind of water that can get contaminated with cholera. And then there's their unique way of marking territory. It's called dung showering. They literally spray their poop everywhere with their tails. Yeah, great for sending messages to other hippos, but you'd think it would be a super spreader event for a waterborne disease, right? So why aren't they all just dropping like flies? Okay, so to crack this case, we gotta understand the other side of the story. We need to get to know the villain here, the cholera bacterium itself. Let's put this microscopic killer under the microscope. So what exactly is cholera? Well, it is a really nasty piece of work. It's an infection from a bacterium called Vibrio cholerae, and for us humans, it's brutal. It causes this intense diarrhea that can lead to life-threatening dehydration in just a matter of hours. I mean, it is incredibly fast and incredibly dangerous. And right here, this is our first major clue. It turns out cholera has no known animal reservoirs. Basically, it's a human problem, a uniquely human problem, passed around through contaminated water. And that fact, that is a huge piece of this puzzle. Okay, so if it only targets humans, how does it actually do its damage? The answer is kind of brilliant, but also absolutely terrifying. The best way to think about it is like a very, very specific lock and key. The bacterium makes this toxin called choleragen, and you can think of it as a two-part weapon. First, you have part B. That's the key. Its one and only job is to find the perfect spot on one of our intestinal cells and latch on. Once that key is in the lock, then part A, the payload, can get inside the cell and start causing all the trouble. So here's the play-by-play. Step 1, the key, part B, finds that very specific molecular lock on one of your gut cells and clicks into place. Step 2, the door is now open and the payload, part A, slips inside. And this is where the chaos starts. Part A literally hijacks the cell, reprogramming it to just pump out insane amounts of water and electrolytes. And that's what causes that horrifying dehydration. And this really gets to the heart of it all. The entire attack plan hinges on finding those human-specific molecules. The key is built for a human lock, and only a human lock. If it can't find that specific lock, the whole invasion is a bust before it even begins. Now, this kind of crazy specialization, it didn't just pop up overnight. No way. This is the result of a microscopic war that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. It's this constant evolutionary arms race between our bodies and this one little bacterium. There's actually a name for this. It's called host specificity, and that arms race analogy is perfect. The host, that's us, we evolved defenses to fight it off. But then the pathogen evolves, getting even better, more specialized at attacking us. You repeat that cycle over thousands of generations, and you can end up with a pathogen that's become a world-class expert at infecting just one specific species. And you see this kind of thing all over the natural world. Pathogens are picky. Take foot and mouth disease, for instance. It mostly goes after cloven-hoofed animals, cows, sheep, pigs, because, they're all part of the same family, evolutionarily speaking. And then you've got cholera, which is at the complete other end of the spectrum. It has gotten so specialized that it's zeroed in on one target and one target only, us. Okay, so this all brings us right back to the hippo. How close are they to us on the family tree? Well, not even a little bit. In fact, you're gonna love this. Their closest living relatives? It's not pigs, it's not horses, it's cetaceans. Yep, the hippo's closest family are whales and dolphins. Wild, right? Okay, I think the picture is starting to come into focus, right? We've got all the pieces of the puzzle on the table, so let's put it all together and finally solve this thing. All right, answer part 1, the most direct reason. The lock doesn't fit the key. That cholera toxin, that part B we were talking about, it just can't find a place to dock on a hippo's intestinal cells. The hippo simply doesn't have the right molecular locks on its cells for the toxin to grab onto.
No attachment means no infection. It really is that simple.
So why is the lox so different in the first place? Well, it all comes down to that massive evolutionary gap between us. Hippos are just so far away from humans on the tree of life. Remember, they're basically cousins with whales. Their basic cellular biology is just fundamentally different from ours. So the odds of a super specialized human pathogen being able to make that kind of jump, almost zero. And then there's one more piece to this. You have to remember, hippos have been living in and around water for millions of years. And over that incredible stretch of time, natural selection has been doing its thing. Any hippo that happened to be vulnerable to common waterborne diseases, well, it probably didn't live long enough to have kids. This process, repeated over and over, has made the entire species incredibly resilient. They are perfectly adapted to their watery world. So when you put it all together, you see it's not just one magic bullet. It's a whole combination of powerful biological defenses. You've got host specificity. Cholera is a picky eater and it only eats human. You've got the wrong biology. The hippo's gut just doesn't have the right hardware for the toxin to connect to. You've got that massive evolutionary distance. Hippos are more whale than primate. And finally, you have millions of years of natural selection, weeding out the weak. All of it together, and the mystery is solved. And that leaves us with a really cool final thought to chew on. This whole hippo cholera story, it's just one example of the thousands of invisible shields and secret weapons that exist all across the animal kingdom. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing adaptations are out there, quietly protecting other animals from the very diseases that can bring us to our knees?